Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Prisoners of Peace, Chapter 11. Cam swallowed and tried not to look down from her wobbly perch. She tried to fight the giddiness that threatened to make her lose her grip and send her falling to her death below. Riv grinned at her. The height didn't seem to bother him. "Scared, huh?" he sneered. "Just like all Cardassians." She refused to be baited. While she was waiting for Jake and his friends, a strange Bajoran boy had attacked her and dragged her along with him. She tried to fight, but he was much stronger than she was, and it hadn't done her much good. Riv now had a couple of blood-red gashes across his face where she'd managed to scratch him. She had a dull pain in her side where he'd punched her to force her to stop fighting. "Why are you doing this to me?" she asked. This seemed to amuse him. "Whining, eh? Go ahead, beg for your life. You never know. It might get you somewhere." He shrugged. "Then again, I might push you off anyway." He made a sudden motion with his hand. Cam squealed and shied away from him, gripping the thin rail beneath her for support. Riv laughed, a nasty, harsh sound. She took a deep breath and stared back at him. "I won't beg," she told him. "If you're going to kill me, you'll kill me anyway. I just want to know why you're doing it. I've done nothing to you." His face twisted into a dark scowl. "Your people have," he told her angrily. "They killed both my parents. I spent all my life in hiding, fighting Cardassians." Cam was ashamed for her people. "I'm really sorry about your parents, but why pick on me?" "Sorry? You?" Riv shook his head. "I don't believe it. You Cardassians don't have any honest emotions. You're just trash. And I'm going to make you all pay, starting with you." Cam swallowed again. The urge to look down was almost irresistible, but she knew that if she did, she'd lose her balance and fall. "So you're going to kill me for revenge?" She shrugged. "Well, I can't say I blame you. If I'd loved my parents the way you must have, I'd probably hate the people who did it." "Oh, no," he said. "You can't get me thinking you care. It's just a trick. Anyway, I'm not going to kill you unless I have to. I heard you tell those other kids that you're the daughter of a gull. You're worth a lot to me alive." Cam managed a weak smile back. "Yes? Then this isn't the best place to keep me. I could fall off any second." "If you do, you do." He didn't sound bothered. "I've been trying to contact the Bajoran Underground to join it. I want to fight against the Cardassians just like my parents did, but so far I haven't been able to get through to them." Puzzled, Cam said, "The war's over. Bajor's free. Surely there isn't any underground now." Riv gave a harsh laugh. "That's what everyone tries to tell me, but it isn't true. We may have got our planet back, but true Bajorans won't rest till we've wiped every last Cardassian from the face of the universe. There has to be an underground, and if I can offer you to them, the daughter of a gull as a hostage, then they're bound to let me join, aren't they?" "The war is over," she told him. "We're at peace." "Peace?" He sounded very bitter. "I'll never be at peace while there's one Cardassian still alive. We're still at war, whatever the Federation or anyone else might say." "You're still at war," Cam said, realizing this was Riv's problem. He'd lived filled with hatred and fear and fighting for so long that he didn't know any other way. He wouldn't accept that things had changed. "Riv, we don't have to be enemies. We can be friends." He laughed. "The only way to make peace with your enemies is to kill them." "Maybe that's what your parents told you," Cam said gently, "but it's not true. There's another way. You stop being enemies and start being friends." "Friends?" Riv looked as if he wanted to spit at her. "Cardassians don't have any friends. You're animals, that's all." "What if everybody is right?" Cam asked him, "and there isn't an underground carrying on the war against the Cardassians? What if there really is peace?" "Then you'd better get ready to die," he told her. because you're either coming down from here with me to go to the underground, or I'm going to make at least one Cardassian pay for what they've done to my people and to me." There was a sound of someone clearing his throat. It came from behind Riv. He looked around and Cam could just see past him. The beam that they were perched on went into the far wall as it curved up to touch the roof. Riv had removed a panel in that wall and forced her way through it and onto the beam. When he'd followed her, he'd left the panel open. Over his shoulder, she could see that there were several people standing there in the small access corridor. One of them was staring down at them through the hole. He was tall and dark-skinned, dressed in a Starfleet uniform. She guessed that he had to be Jake's father. Behind him were Jake, Nog, and Odo. "Hello, Riv," the commander said quietly. "Hello, Cam. Don't be alarmed." Riv shook his head. "I'm not alarmed," he said. "You should be, though. I want to talk to Major Kira." "I'm afraid that's not possible," Commander Sisko replied. "Major Kira is in ops. We have a bit of a problem on our hands right now." "Yeah," Riv agreed. "Me." The commander sighed. "You are part of it, yes. Now, please, I don't know why you're out there, but come back in. Let Cam come back in." "No," said Riv firmly. "You've got two choices. Bring Major Kira here, or I push this Cardassian off the beam. Make up your mind now." He lunged out, and his hand closed over Cam's shoulder. She fought to stop herself screaming and to stay on the thin beam. Jake gasped as he saw Riv get ready to push Cam from the beam. They were so high up out there that she would certainly be killed if she fell. "Don't do it, Riv," he yelled. He looked at his father. "Maybe I can talk sense to him," he suggested. His father thought for a moment, then nodded. "Though I doubt anyone can talk sense to that boy," he muttered. Slipping past his father in the narrow confines of the access tunnel, Jake peered out of the hole. The beam looked even thinner from here, and he could see it was bending visibly under the weight of Riv and Cam. It was not meant to carry decorations and banners for festivals, not to support people. Behind him, he heard his father ask Odo in a quiet voice that Riv wouldn't be able to hear, "Could you change shape and go out there, Odo, as a mouse or something?" "I'm afraid not," Odo replied. "I may be able to take on the shape and size of a mouse, but I'd still have the weight of a man. Riv's picked this place very carefully. If I go out there, the beam will probably break. One of the youngsters might be able to go out, but no adult." "I don't think he'd sit and watch anyone crawl out there," Jake said with a sigh. Nog cleared his throat. What about using a transporter to beam them in here?" he suggested brightly. "A good idea," Commander Sisko replied. Nog beamed, but his face fell when the commander added, "If we weren't having sensor problems, we're going to have to rely on talking him into giving up." That was Jake's cue, he knew. "Hi, Riv," he said, hoping for some inspiration. "Aren't you going a bit far this time?" "Nice joke, jerk," Riv answered. "I am out pretty far, aren't I?" Jake could see the fear on Cam's face and in her eyes. He guessed from the tense way she gripped the beam that she was probably afraid of heights. "Why don't you let her go?" he asked. "No way," Riv said. "She's my ticket out of here." "I thought you were supposed to be brave," Jake sneered. "I'm braver than you," Riv yelled back, annoyed and red in the face. "Yeah?" asked Jake. "And why are you putting her through this?" "She's a Cardassian!" yelled Riv. "You're just a coward," Jake howled back. For a moment, Jake thought he'd annoyed Riv enough for the Bajoran to come inside just to beat his brains out. Riv's fists clenched and unclenched, but then he shook his head. "It won't work," he said. "I'll kill her if I have to. I promise you." "Then you'll kill us all," Jake told him. Riv stared at him suspiciously, obviously expecting a trick. "What are you talking about?" "You know she's Gul Gavrin's daughter," asked Jake. "Yeah." Riv grinned again. "Pretty neat hostage." "Well, he's here, and he wants her back." "What?" Both Cam and Riv said this at the same time. It was hard for Jake to decide who looked more surprised. He's in space, just off the station, Jake explained, with 8 warships. He wants Cam back, and he says if he doesn't get her, he'll blow up Deep Space Nine. Cam gasped, but Riv just gave a short bark-like laugh. Ha! He's not crazy enough to do that. You don't know my father, Cam said with real anger and hatred in her voice. If he's mad enough, he'll do anything. Riv thought about that for a minute. This situation has Federation people on. This station has Federation people on it, he said. If the Admiral blows it up, wouldn't the Federation declare war on Cardassia? Probably, agreed Jake, but that wouldn't exactly help us. We'd all be dead. It would help me, Riv said. There's a very odd look in his eye. I'm not afraid to die. And if the goal blows up Deep Space Nine, then the Federation would go to war with the Cardassians. The Federation's bound to win and wipe the stinking scum out. He laughed. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. What? Cam looked furious now, not as scared as she had been. Is that all you can think about? Killing Cardassians? Well, you can kill me if you like, but I'm not going to let you kill the other people on the station. They're good people. Jake and Ashley and Tara and Nog and all the rest. They don't deserve to die just so you can start a stupid war. I won't let you kill them. With a growl, she lunged at Riv. Jake was terrified. Cam was mad enough to send both herself and Riv plunging to their deaths. Stop it, he yelled, scared of what might happen. Cam, don't do it! She hesitated, on her feet now, balancing on the beam. She seemed to have forgotten about her fear of heights. She was so mad with Riv. The Bajoran boy was just as changed as she was. He stared at her, obviously puzzled and shocked. You want to save their lives? He said, his voice with an odd catch to it. They're my friends, she growled, and I won't let you get them killed. But you're a Cardassian, he said, struggling with the idea. Cardassians hate everybody. Well, I don't, she yelled. Right now, there are only 2 people I hate. One's my father, and the other's you. Jake could see that Riv was finally starting to see how wrong he'd been. Riv, he said gently, it's true. She means it. She is our friend. I don't care if she's a Cardassian or whatever. She's a neat person. She's a whole lot nicer than you are. Riv turned on the beam. Jake could see that the Bajoran boy's face was twisted and twitching. Come on, Riv, Nog called over Jake's shoulder. Come on inside. Let Cam come in. He winced, then added, Please. As Riv stood there struggling with himself, Cam gave a sharp laugh. Yeah, if you really want to hurt me, let me go in. I'll have to go back to my father. He's probably going to kill me for running away. Jake watched, hardly daring to breathe. He could feel his father, Nog, and Odo standing behind him, watching as well. Would Riv agree? Would he come in? Ashley stared across the ops room in awe. She'd always wanted to be up here, checking out some of the terrifically neat machinery. Now she wished she were somewhere else, on a nice, safe planet, for example. Major Kira was standing in front of the main viewer. Gul Gavrin's huge figure was staring back from the projection at her. We're doing our best, the Major said, trying to smile. It's just taking a little bit longer than we thought to find your daughter. Then your best is obviously not good enough, Gul Gavrin roared. He was hissing and his face was twitching. Ashley could see he was definitely mad. So I'll give you a little incentive. Turning to one of his officers off screen, he yelled, Fire a warning shot at the station. At once, sir, a voice replied. Major Kira whirled around. Raise shields, full. Battle stations, we're under attack. Chapter 12. Jake stared at Riv, who was still standing on the beam. The young Bajoran was clearly fighting a battle with his beliefs. Quietly, Jake asked his father, Do you think he's going to let her go? I think so, his father whispered back. He only has to accept the truth that his hatred was wrong. He's been fighting a war all his life, and he's been a prisoner of a peace he doesn't understand or accept. He's grown up hating all Cardassians, but he's discovered that at least one of them is a good person. It's hard to keep your hatred going when the person you're trying to hate has a face and a good heart. Made sense to Jake. He only hoped it was the same conclusion that Riv would reach. Finally, the Bajoran boy nodded. "Okay," he said, "we're coming in. She's not a bad person, is she?" "Great!" Jake gave him a big smile. "You're not so bad yourself." Riv started to turn. As he did so, the alarms began to sound. Major Kira's voice came over the public address system. "Red alert, we're under attack." Something hit the station's force shields. The energy field absorbed the blow, but for a second the power blinked, and the inertial dampers failed. The deck beneath Jake's feet shook as if it were an earthquake. On the beam, Riv gave a strangled cry of surprise and lost his footing. Jake saw Riv stumble and then fall. For one heart-stopping second, he was convinced that the Bajoran boy would die. Then Cam flung herself forward. Her left hand wrapped about Riv's wrist, and her other circled the beam. With a cry of pain, she fell sprawled across the beam. She clung tightly with her right arm, and just as tightly to Riv with her other hand. Riv swung below her, 100 feet above the floor. There was pain on his face and fear. He glanced down and then upward. Cam's face was twisted in agony, and Jake saw that she was losing her grip on the beam. "Let go!" Riv yelled at her. "If you don't, you're going to fall too. Let me go!" "No!" Cam snarled. "I'm not going to let you die." "You can't help it," Riv shouted. "There's no point in us both going. No!" Jake had been frozen to the spot, unable to move. As he watched Riv swinging in Cam's tight grip, he saw that she was losing her hand on the beam. Her arm wasn't strong enough to hold her weight and Riv's. Jake didn't like heights much, but he finally managed to get his feet moving. He jumped through the gap in the ceiling and then stepped out onto the beam. Behind him, he heard Nog gasp. One quick glimpse of the promenade far below him made him jerk his head back up to look out at Cam. "Hang on," he called. Slowly, his arms held out to keep his balance. He took small steps along the terribly thin beam. It sagged slightly under his added weight. If only it could stand this strain. "Be careful, Jake," his father called. Jake could hear the worry in his voice. "Odo's getting some of his men to bring a portable tractor beam up here." "Okay," he said, his teeth clenched to stop them chattering. Step by slow step, he moved out, struggling to keep his balance. Cam was barely able to hold on to the beam, but her grip on Riv's wrist never weakened. Then Jake was close enough to fall forward along the beam. He put his left arm around it to lock himself in place, then reached down with his free hand. "Give me your other hand," he ordered Riv. The Bajoran boy grabbed his hand, and Jake clutched back, taking most of the weight. Cam sighed and managed to strengthen her hold on the bar, now that she wasn't having to support all of Riv. "Thanks, Jake," she said. He looked directly into her eyes. They were filled with pain and resolve. He knew she would have died rather than let go of Riv. "You're the hero," he told her. "I'm just trying to help you out." Then he felt a strange sensation as if invisible fingers were enfolding him. "Got them," said Odo's voice with deep satisfaction. The portable tractor beam must have arrived. "All right," the constable called. "You can let go of the beam now. We've got all three of you locked in." It was one of the hardest things Jake had ever done to loosen his hold on the beam. He was terribly afraid that when he did, he would fall and then smash into the floor far, far below. But he knew he could trust Odo. He let go and didn't fall. The invisible fingers held him tightly. He didn't let go of his grip on Riv's hand, though, nor did Cam. She unwrapped her arm from the beam. The ghostly fingers tugged him gently back toward the gap in the wall. Jake couldn't see behind him, but then he felt real hands grab him and pull him in. Equally firm and strong hands reached out as soon as he was through the hole to draw in Riv and Cam. The invisible fingers relaxed, and Jake staggered to his feet. His father's arms held him up, and he grinned back at him. His father gave him a wink. Then he looked at the Bajoran boy and Cardassian girl, who were being helped to their feet by Odo and one of his men. Slapping his communicator, he called, "Cisco to Kira, what's our status?" "It was just a warning shot, Commander," her voice reported. It was meant to hurry up our search for his daughter. Shields took the blow. No damage and no casualties. There almost were, Jake's father said. Tell the Gull that he almost succeeded in killing his own daughter, but that we have her and she's safe. Cisco out. Jake stood beside Cam and Riv. The Bajoran didn't seem able to raise his face to look at the others. Are you going back to your father? Jake asked Cam. I don't have any choice, she told him miserably. If I don't, he'll attack this station. She looked at Jake's father. I can't ask you to let me stay now. It wouldn't be fair. The commander nodded. You're a very brave girl. What will your father do when you get back? She shrugged. He'll probably kill me. I've embarrassed him in public by running away. He knows I wasn't kidnapped, whatever he says. Riv stared at her now. You'd go back to him, even knowing you're going to die? I don't have any choice, she said sadly. If I don't, he'll blow up Deep Space Nine and everyone will die. Riv swallowed. I was really wrong about you, wasn't I? He managed to say. You're braver than I am. And a whole lot nicer, too. His face set in a severe frown. And I won't let him hurt you. Nog snorted. I don't see what we can do. Riv grinned. She may be braver and nicer than me, but I'm obviously still smarter than all of you. I've got a plan. Odo glared down at them all. This, he said, I've got to hear. Major Kira glanced up from the main control panel in obvious relief. On the main screen, Jake saw Cam's father. Just looking at him made Jake shudder. Ashley gave a cry of pleasure and started across the room toward them, Tara following behind. Jake, Nog, and Riv moved quickly to intercept them. It was vitally important that neither of them give anything away. It's okay, Jake said loudly for the benefit of the Gull. We're fine. She didn't hurt us. With his back to the screen, he held a finger to his lips, holding they'd follow his lead. If only Riv's plan worked. For a second, it looked as though Ashley might say something. Thankfully, Tara caught on immediately. We were most worried about you both, she said. I am glad you are safe. And she gave a wink before going stone-faced again. What is going on? Gull Gavin demanded. Did you rescue my daughter? Daughter? Sorry. Daughter? Jake's father asked, putting as much anger as he could into his voice. Then you accept responsibility for her actions. Actions? Cardassian echoed, puzzled. What are you talking about? She was kidnapped. Kidnapped? Commander Sisko shook his head. You know that isn't true. She's a spy. And she kidnapped my son and his friends to try to hold him hostage. Gull Gavrin's eyes widened in shock. She what? Taking her cue, Cam stepped forward, a meek expression on her face. I'm sorry, Father, she said. I was just trying to make you proud of me. I was wrong. This was obviously not what the Gull had been expecting at all. What do you mean? What did you do? Cam took a deep breath. I wanted to be a good daughter to a Gull, so I stowed away on a freighter heading here to Deep Space Nine. I've been hiding out for a week, trying to learn the weak spots. I thought I'd make you proud of me by being a good spy, but I kind of screwed up, didn't I? Gull Gavrin's face furrowed in a frown. And you took all three of those boys hostage. Cam spread her hands helplessly. I didn't know what else to do. When the guards came after me, I panicked. I thought they'd come to arrest me, not to tell me you were here, so I took hostages. Well! Gull Gavrin was starting to look almost proud. Jake's father glared up at the screen. She's a criminal and a spy, he declared loudly. If it were up to me, she'd spend most of her life in prison. However, in the interests of peace, I will allow her to return to you. I insist that she be treated as a criminal and punished very severely. Is that understood? I understand, Commander, the Cardassian replied. But you have no authority over me. I shall deal with her as I see fit. Now, send my daughter back. He switched off the viewer. Odo gave a sharp bark of a laugh. Ha! A wonderful piece of acting, Commander, he said. I almost believed you myself. Question is, Jake said, worried, did he believe it all? Riv snorted. Are you kidding? He bought the whole thing. He gave Cam a grin. The art of telling a really good lie is to make sure it's what the person listening really wants to hear. He's going to be as proud as anything of you for trying to be a spy. Cam nodded. And since the commander insisted that I be punished, he'll treat me better than normal. I think, just to show he can't be bossed around. She sighed. I hate telling such lies, even to him, but what else can I do? Nothing, Jake's father said. They started with the lies. If you tell them what you really think, they would only punish you. That won't help anyone, will it? No, Cam smiled wistfully. I wish I could stay with you, but I must return. I won't forget any of you. I promise it'll make sure that some Cardassians know the truth about what you're really like. Riv grinned. I bet you'll do it. I've got a lot of faith in you. Ashley shook her head. I'm missing something here. Riv likes you? The Bajoran punched her lightly on the arm. Don't let it go to your head, he told her. But even you've grown on me. Cam moved across to the transporter pad. She gave them all a sad wave. Goodbye, she called. I promise I won't forget. Goodbye, they all chorused as she vanished. A moment later, Dax looked up from her science station. The ships are moving away, she reported. They're headed home. Good, Commander Sisko turned to Major Kira. Cancel red alert. Odo, did your men find Riv Botna? Yes, the constable replied. They're on their way here with him now. Fine. Jake's father looked down at the Bajoran boy. There's just one thing to clear up now, he said. Jake shook his head. Two things, actually. He turned to Nog. I think you'd better give Riv his earring back. It's mine, Nog insisted. I found it. Riv's hand flew to his ear, and he reacted as he realized that he'd lost the relic of his parents. It must have come off in the struggle, he said. I'd forgotten about it with so much happening. He held out his hand. Thanks for finding it for me, he said. It's mine, Nog insisted. I found it. It's mine. That's the third rule of acquisition. Riv smiled slowly. Then I guess I'll just have to pierce your ear so you can wear it, he said. He held up his fist and took a step forward. Quickly, Nog held out the earring. Take it, he said nervously. 76th rule of acquisition says every once in a while declare peace. Thanks. Riv took his treasure back and pinned it in place just as the turbolift arrived. Two of Odo's men pushed his uncle Bothna out of it and over to the commander. Commander Sisko, Bothna said. He sounded on the verge of panic, but there was anger in his voice. What has that evil little creature done now? Jake's father glowered at the fat Bajoran. Kidnapping, he snapped. Menacing. Endangering the lives of everyone on the station. I'm revoking his parole. Bothna looked happy. Then you'll throw him in jail where he belongs at last, he asked. No. Odo smiled as Bothna's face went white with shock. If you recall when we last met, I had told you I was releasing him into your custody, and that I was holding you responsible for his actions. I don't think you quite understand. He isn't being charged with those crimes. You are. Me? Howled Bothna, on the verge of fainting. But that's not legal. Odo smiled at the Bajoran. No, I agree, but it is justice. You see, Jake's father explained, I'm convinced that Riv has seen the error of his ways and given up his bad behavior. But I'm not convinced that you have. You have done nothing but complain about Riv. You have shown him no affection and no caring. Now, if I have your word that you will do your best to change and to try and give him a good home, then I'll let you out on probation under Riv's care. And if not, asked Bothna, trembling. Odo smiled nastily. Oh, about 30 years in a jail cell, I think. I accept. The commander smiled. I thought you might. He turned to Riv. Do you think you can take responsibility for him? Yes, sir, replied Riv. He looked up at his uncle. Today I've learned that a lot of my ideas were way off target. Maybe my feelings about Uncle Bothna were too. I promise I'll do my best. The tubby Bajoran looked down at his nephew, a frown on his face. You will? He asked, hardly able to believe it. Yes, Uncle, Riv promised. I'm sorry for everything I said to you in the past. Bothno looked at him and then at Commander Sisko. Well, if even Riv can change, then I guess I can too. I give you my word, Commander, that I'll do my best. Jake's father smiled. I can't ask for more than that. Good luck, both of you. The two of them left ops together. Jake's father turned to face his son. Jake, I am very proud of what you did today. You and your friends helped a great deal in all of this. Jake blushed. Thanks, Dad. However, his father finished a little more severely, this is still a school day. If you are not all down there within 10 minutes, I shall recommend detention for the lot of you. Jake looked at Nog, Ashley, and Tara. The four of them turned and fled. As they did so, they heard both the commander and Odo chuckling. I don't think he's really serious, Jake said as the lift took them down. Nah, agreed Nog. Grown-ups just hate having to owe kids for anything. Back to school, said Tara. It will seem awfully quiet now if Riv behaves, and now that Cam is gone. I miss her. Then, as she realized that sounded suspiciously emotional, she added, she presented an interesting opportunity to learn about the Cardassians. Yeah, Ashley agreed. I'll miss her too. And she grinned. On the other hand, this time when I fix the replicator, it's going to stay fixed. No more stew and cheesecake, ever. I don't know, Jake managed to say with a perfectly straight face. I was actually starting to kind of like it.